Hey guys, I've been playing through the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC on my live stream, and I've put about 16 or 17 hours into it. I have beat a ton of the bosses. As you can see, I'm at 56 deaths to enemies, but I've beat, I think, like 6 or 7 of the Remembrance bosses, so the big ones. I've done a ton of the side stuff. And you can see my Shadow Blessing is currently at 12 and 6. So I've done a ton of exploring as well. I think this only goes up to 13. So getting pretty close to max there. And I came into the DLC at level 159. And I wanted to kind of talk about, a hot button topic. A lot of people are talking about it. It's getting a lot of negative reviews because people are saying the game is too hard. And there's been several negative reviews. I believe on Steam, it's even sitting at a mixed rating with only 60% positive. So I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it playing through. If I think the DLC is too hard. And I would say I think it is most definitely taking all of the problems I had with late game Elden Ring, like Farum Azula Elden Ring for the base game, and then into the Erdtree area as well, consecrated snowfields, where enemies are just doing absurd amounts of damage. It almost starts to feel like there's no point in wearing heavy armor. There's no point in wearing these defensive talismans. There's no point in putting all these points into vigor. I had those issues with the base game, and this DLC is just all of those problems, but through the entire thing, through the entire DLC. I came in with very high vigor, like 55 vigor or something like that. I got to 50 to 60 vigor. I'm wearing, the veteran armor set, which is a very heavy armor set, protects you a lot. I'm wearing 3 out of my 4 talismans are defense ones, greatly increasing my defense. 60 vigor. I'll even have Morgoth's Great Rune for 50% extra HP, and you are still getting deleted. I'm talking 3 or 4 shot by just normal enemies. And this game, especially the DLC, it throws enemies at you. Even a lot of like the open world boss encounters will have a group of enemies and the boss, and so you have to like worry about getting hit by any of these parties and just deleting you. Now, these realm blessings that I talked about, these are a DLC specific upgrade. They tell you right out the gate, like, you probably need to get these. And from my understanding, each time you level this up, you get a 5% increase to your damage and an 8% increase to your defenses is what it looks like. So these are most definitely worth getting. But even when you have these, you are still getting deleted by enemies. I mean, it's a little bit absurd. And some of the bosses you'll definitely hit, like there's a certain spear wielding boss I hit when I only had Erdtree Blessing of 3, and I was just getting my ass blasted by this guy. And it became very apparent to me out the gate, okay, I'm not supposed to fight this guy yet. And then I came back and I was at Erdtree Blessing of I think 10, and I also was just stacking a bunch of defense and even using consumables for defense against that boss, and it helped a ton. So I do agree with people. I think that the difficulty here is pretty crazy, and this is even with me using a faith build, right? I'm using really strong spells like Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. I'm using Mimic Tier. A lot of the time I have actually been trying out the new summons. I tried out, so far, my favorite summon I've been using the most, I'm calling him Yoda. He's like this little dude with a glowing sword. He just bounces around off walls and shit like Yoda. He's hilarious. I've been using him a lot over Mimic Tier. But I 100% understand where people are coming from. I think this DLC does need nerfed a little bit. I don't think like the moves of the bosses or anything that I fought need nerfs. And most of the bosses in the game I have killed within 2 attempts. Like I've either first tried them or I've second tried them. That one spear wielding enemy was the only one in the entire game where I died. I want to say like 20 something times to him before I beat him. So I don't think it's necessarily the enemy moves, but it's most definitely the scaling. I think that they should just kind of cut the damage that these normal mobs are doing by like 40 or even 50% just for the normal mobs, because there's not really any reason in my mind that I should be dying more to just dudes out in the open, especially those guys that shoot the pest threads. I mean, even with Erdtree Blessing 12, if you try ride your fucking horse past those guys, they'll delete you. Like, you'll die instantly. They'll just stun lock you. All it takes is one of the things, the pest threads, to hit you, and then, you know, you're falling off torrent, and then like another pest threads thing to hit you, and you're dead. It's absurd. So I totally agree with people. I think it is a bit too hard. I think it needs to be scaled back a little bit. Once again, I don't think it's a problem with the move sets or anything like that that enemies have. I just think the scaling itself is basically late game Elden Ring just totally exacerbated, just cranked up to 11, and I would like to see it tuned down a little bit. But with that being said, just know when you're coming into the DLC, bare minimum, you need to have 60 vigor. You need to have heavy armor, so you need to have, you know, either talismans that will allow you to equip heavy armor, or just at least like an endurance of like 35 or 40 that'll allow you to equip that armor. You need to probably be utilizing consumables for the boss fights, you know, depending on the element or the type of damage that the enemy is doing. And you need to really, really be looking for those Erdtree blessings, because they do help a ton. But even with them, you're going to get deleted. And even just like a lot of the normal enemies, like there's these knight guys, and they just have infinite poise. They're basically like Crucible Knights, where they have just infinite poise, practically impossible to stagger. You can parry them pretty easily if you like that, but they are just going to mess you up if you try and, you know, fight them too early. And they do give you like nothing too, which is a big problem I have with Elden Ring. Is like, you'll have these normal enemies that are ridiculously strong, and then you'll beat them and they'll do like nothing, right? Like, they'll give you like 1,500 souls, which is nothing, or they'll give you a smithing stone 2 or something. Like, just absolutely silly. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly comment about it because I have been seeing a lot of negative reviews regarding the difficulty, and I wanted to give my take on it. Normally, you know, this would just be a normal vlog, but I just wanted to record it while I was streaming, since I've been playing, you know, so many hours, and I'm trying to push through it. So yeah, anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you think that the DLC is too difficult? Do you think it's totally a skill issue and people need to get good? I'm sure you god tier gamers like Ongbal or Ongbok, whatever his name is, the guy that runs around naked and beats every single boss with, you know, a club and doesn't get hit at all. I'm sure you guys think it's a skill issue and people need to get good, but the truth of the matter is that Elden Ring is by far the biggest selling FromSoft game. There's a lot of more casual people that are playing it, and you know, I don't think every single normal person should be forced into having 60 vigor, heavy armor, running for, you know, defensive talismans. I think that's a little silly, and it just kind of ruins build diversity. But let me know what you guys think. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see all of you in the next video, or Rooney. Bye bye.